There's lots of laughter that goes on in dementia units, certainly more than in hospitals and often more than rest homes. And it's a great panacea. You know, it's a fantastic, healthy medicine for people, because in dementia units, there's many people that are aphasic, that can't communicate, but they can laugh. And so if you can laugh with them, then you get to understand them, often actually more than if they were communicating. It just brings a resonance and a presence and an empathy and insight, so that if you know what that sense of humour of that person is and it clicks in with your sense of humour, then you've got some insight into that person's personality, which can be a launch pad for communication from that point forward. So being able to relax and laugh in a dementia unit goes a long way towards establishing relationship. And that's why it is good to be relaxed when you are in a dementia unit, because you can't really laugh unless you're relaxed, though laughing does give relaxation, but you do have to have a sense of humour to laugh. And so for that, if you're at ease with yourself, you're more likely to see things in a humorous way than if you're not. If you're a bit tense and uptight, you're not likely to get the joke or see anything as being funny. And even if you do, you think it's being directed at you rather than, you know, it being a communal thing. So coming into a dementia unit, if you can just sort of keep an open mind, relax the shoulders, take a few deep breaths and walk in being prepared to have a good time. I mean, other things go on as well. I mean, there can be stress and difficulties also, but at least when the good times roll, go with that, because a lot of the time it really is a good place to work and a good place to visit. So in terms of humour, humour is very subjective. I mean, we all have our own sense of humour, and what is funny to one person isn't funny to the other person. But in dementia units, the good thing about dementia units is that dementia residents either find things funny or not funny. They don't tend to take things personally. They're not overly sensitive. If you make a joke, they're not likely to take it personally, whereas staff can take it personally, but dementia residents usually don't. And they're also very efficient with their speech, I've noticed, so that when they do speak, it's often acerbic, tight and bright. And I'll give you one example of this. I had one of the ladies that I was working with quite a lot in terms of direction orientation and orientating her to find her room, etc. I'd gone into her room, she had successfully found her room this day, and I was trying to improve the orientation in her room and her body orientation. So we were looking at she was looking at herself in the mirror, and I was encouraging her to brush her hair, you know, and put on her jacket, put on her beads, and get some image of what she looks like. Anyway, we spent about 5 minutes on this, and she was sort of looking at herself and then looking away, looking back at herself. And she said, then she said to me, she knew me, she recognized me. I mean, she saw me a lot at work, and I spent a lot of time with her. And she said to the person in the mirror, "Who is she?" And then she said, "This is me." 6 words. Who is she? This is me. So she got it. She had that body orientation just from that. And she was able to articulate the process of not being able to connect with herself or orientate with herself to being able to with who is she? This is me. So I found that that was often the case with residents, that they could bring it, the humour right down to a really short, pithy statement, which made it even funnier, of course. And another example was a lady, this wasn't quite as pithy, but something that I found really entertaining. She was a very glamorous woman, she had a very attentive daughter who used to come each day to do her hair and her makeup, you know, the whole regalia, beads, pearls, the lot. She always looked lovely. She didn't actually communicate that much with others because she preferred to be with her daughter. She was a bit lazy with the communication, but she certainly wasn't lazy with feeding the birds. Feeding the birds was her big preoccupation. And she had a north-facing room, and she had a little ledge, and she'd feed all the breadcrumbs, half her toast, out the window to the little birds. And if she had no bread, she'd throw out anything to them, really, clothes, shoes, the lot. Anyway, this day, she actually did speak to me. It was one of those rare days. It was a sunny day at the sun alcove. The birds were flying back and forward. So she was sort of thinking about birds. And she said to me, this is the story. She said to me, now I don't know if it was yesterday or today, or I don't know when it was, but I'll tell you what happened. There was a car down there, and she pointed to the car park. There was a car, and then in this really funny, shrill voice, she said, and do you know what happened? I said, no, I don't know what happened. She said the person in the car, they didn't throw out a bird, they threw out a bird's nest. But look, the way she said it, like, it was actually hilarious, because she was so into birds. I mean, as if you'd throw out a bird, and let alone a bird's nest. But anyway, a bird's nest had come flying out of the car. Not just a bird, but a bird's nest. Anyway, so understanding that little story, I understood from that how much birds meant to her, really. So the important thing for her was to get a window seat in the sun where she could feed the breadcrumbs to the birds. 3 hours a day, no problem, she'd be happy. That plus the daughter was enough for her. So just understanding her process, and then with the other lady who said, who is she? This is me. She was very into direction orientation and orientation. She wanted to know where her room was. She was prepared to do tons of training to get there, and it took a lot of effort for her to become orientated with that, because she had very poor direction orientation. She was prepared to come to the workshops on building confidence and being positive, even though she was shy. And she was able to orientate to her room finally, and finding her room, which was really the big task that she set out for herself. So just understanding the motives, really. It's understanding the motives. I mean, this particular lady was so into making effort to be positive and confident, because she knew that that would help not only her, but also the group, because she understood the process of dementia and what it does to you, that it robs you of confidence and robs you of positivity. And she knew that she needed to develop that for herself. And she knew that she could be the agent to help other dementia residents garner that. Even though she was shy, even though she didn't like big groups, she was prepared to come out and make the effort and be part of the group in the, team spirit ethos. She was prepared to sacrifice her shyness, sacrifice her, herself and her social anxieties, put that aside and make that effort for the group, for them to move forward. And really, if it wasn't for her, the work wouldn't have gone ahead in quite the same way, because she enabled me to understand the problems of the dementia thinking and the fuzzy brain, fuzzy mind, and how that confidence and positivity was so needed. And so once I started bringing those topics to the group on positivity and confidence, everyone else clicked in. Absolutely, they agreed. She was totally on track. And it was because I understood her humour, and I understood her pithy comments, and I appreciated her efforts. She made such an effort. She was a real effort maker. I so appreciated that. Anyone that makes an effort, I like to help them. I think it's very important. So dementia residents do make an effort. Most of them try very hard. And as they say, it's not easy, but we're trying hard. We're doing our best. And so they deserve our support because of that marvellous effort that they're making against all odds a lot of the time. So I've written these books, The Resident's Voice and The Resident's Rise, both on Amazon. Thank you for your likes and your subscriptions, and please subscribe. Thanks.